Well, introductions. I'm Walter Moreau, the Executive Director at Foundation Communities. Thank you for inviting us to do these interviews. We're really excited about this project. And you've got myself and Sabrina here.
Hi, Sabrina Butler. I'm the Director of Real Estate Development here at Foundation Communities. Also super excited to be a finalist. We're excited to share our thoughts.
I'm going to take this question. I'll skip over introductions about Foundation Communities. I think you've got that in our write-up. I'd love to highlight, though, I mean, we are local. We were homegrown, started in Austin 35 years ago, really accountable here and have built our track record here. And our big focus is really not just affordable housing, but also the community and support services that make it a great place to live. I like this capacity question. We're very careful about the projects that we take on to make sure that we can execute them really well. And we think the Ryan Drive project really fits into our pipeline. We've been, the last 10 years opening about 2 projects a year. That means we've got 8 to 10 projects in different phases. Zilker Studios and the Loretta opened in 2023. Parker and Balcones are opening this year. Juniper and Norman Commons are in construction for 2025. We'll break ground on Burleson this year to open 2026. And then we are working on a big project that'll take many years and multiple phases with the Mary Lee Foundation to redevelop their campus. Everything is based here in Austin. Based on that pipeline of what we've got right now opening and underway, we've got room for the next project or 2 to kind of get underway. And it's not just our real estate development team, it's the financial balance sheet, it's the experience that we bring. All of those add to our capacity. I like the part of this question too that is not just capacity to develop, but also to operate. That's hugely important to us because to us, we're not just a developer. We've never sold a property. We want to be a phenomenal owner and manager and service provider decades into the future. And we've got the systems, the staff, the processes, accounting, HR, and the social service team to really perform those roles as an operator. Everything, being the long run owner really informs the quality of how we develop, the durability, the design, the service decisions. In terms of a successful team dynamic, we would be the sole developer with the city. So there's not other parties to worry about. We would manage and have accountable to us the architect, engineers, other parts of the team that we need for professional services. But we think that makes it pretty straightforward and clear. In summary, we've got the capacity to tackle Ryan and get that project underway. Thanks.
So I was looking at it in kind of 2 buckets of potential challenges. I think one is the bucket of challenges that everybody's going to be facing on all developments in this market. We're facing high construction costs, high interest rates, and lower tax credit pricing. And frankly, just even in a stronger market, it's hard to put these affordable housing deals and community-focused deals together. This is going to be an issue for all respondents, and we'll talk later about how we're uniquely qualified to raise gap funds to fill the gaps necessary in this market. But what are we going to do about that? So what Foundation Communities does, and what we've done for many years, to avoid late budget surprises, we're bringing our general contractor on at the very beginning of project design so that they can be advising on cost saving opportunities from the very start, from the concept phase. They can raise their hand and say, that's not going to work, or that's going to be quite expensive. Are we prepared for that? So we can have those conversations from the beginning. And they're providing interim pricing estimates at key milestones. These are rough estimates, but they help us have an idea of where we're headed and whether we're designing the project that we can afford to build. We're also really careful to provide really clear guidance to our design teams up front about our budget expectations. And as Walter alluded, that doesn't necessarily mean we're saying build us the cheapest building, because our goal is to build, a high quality and durable project, because we want to be owning this for many, many decades to come. We want the neighbors to be proud. But we're being clear with the designers where we do think we need to invest in that durability, that project sustainability, some key aspects of design to make the community proud, and where we really need to be focused on be really cost efficient and cost conscious so that we're not blowing out that budget. So I think that's that would be true of any project, but then we also looked at what's unique to the site and what challenges or questions do we have here. And I think the biggest win for us, especially because we know it's a keystone of this site, is the Cap Metro Transit Center. This is going to be really influencing the overall sort of design, layout, orientation of the whole project, because as we understand, it's top of mind for the community. And so we'll want to get together with the city right away to make sure we're super clear on the vision, on the kind of minimum goals, the dream goals, and also on Cap Metro's requirements and constraints in building a transit center. I think the other thing is, we know that this site has been discussed for a long time. There's some kind of community fatigue around this, but we know there's also lots of ambitious sort of dreams and hopes for the site. Unfortunately, not all of them, I think we just need to recognize, are going to be achievable. And some folks will be disappointed, but we think overall the vision is great and achievable, but we want to be honest and realistic in the process. We don't want anybody to be surprised or disappointed. Our philosophy is really to avoid overpromising and then continuing to refine and improve the project throughout design and construction and even into operations. As we have more conversations with the city, with the community, we continue fundraising all the way till we open the doors, and sometimes even then after. So if we start with a budget gap, but we can fill it later, we may go back and add items as we go. A couple examples I thought it would be helpful to illustrate. Norman Commons is our project that's currently underway. It was the city's Tannehill RFP site. So the last and actually the only RFP site we've won in the past. At the city's request, after we were awarded the project, we increased the unit count. We added 4-bedroom units. We added continuum of care units. So we added additional kind of aspects to the project, even after award. Now in construction, we're still looking for ways to improve. We decided to voluntarily participate in the Better Builder program to ensure worker protections on that project. And we're actively collaborating and talking, monthly with the adjacent school on art collaboration opportunities and other things that we think are just going to keep making that project better and better and better. But these were not things we were very careful from the front end, not to overpromise. I think I did want to note, on that one, we did secure a bond allocation within a year of winning that development, and we were in construction within 2 years, and that was in a really challenging and rapidly changing market. The other thing, the other sort of bucket of examples, we've been adding solar on most of our projects post completion. We don't have the budget up front. We keep trying to get money, and we now have solar on most of our projects. And then those that don't, we're going to go back and add them at our Loretta project that just opened. We didn't start with a lot of art, but we ended up adding at the end of the project a 3-story mural that everybody's really excited about and has really brought the community together. So we're at the end of the day, we're really confident we're going to make the neighbors and the city and the community really proud of our final product. But we do want to be really realistic and transparent throughout the process on what we think we can and can't achieve without, huge piles of public subsidy, because we know that that's a goal of the city.
I'm going to answer this question. We really love the vision of the site that came out of the neighborhood working group. I think that's a great starting place. The highest priority was affordable housing, and we see the vision for this site in this neighborhood, the opportunity to build a beautiful community that's affordable for families below 60% of median, really meets a need, and would make that, number one goal. The opportunity for green space that connects to the neighborhood, the transit connections, not just the train platform, but also the sidewalks and bike paths that make that work. The opportunity for community space and creative space. A few years ago, when the original RFP came out, I gotta be honest, we fell in love with our plan and put a lot of heart into what we proposed. Affordable and market rate. We have a cool learning center. We have 16 learning centers, so we see that as part of the vision. It's really a community center. So we have fitness classes, there's space for making and art. And we had throughout the site opportunities for public art and creative space. We had a green roof on the learning center so that actually could serve as a performance area. So we would start with the working group plan, some of the work that we did before, reach back out to neighbors to re-engage folks. We don't have to start from scratch. Generally speaking, I'm very proud of our 35-year history in Austin. We're very we've been very successful at building community, winning neighborhood support, and maintaining relationships with neighborhoods. We have over 2,000 volunteers across Austin that support and make it possible for all of our social service programs. These are volunteers, not just like one-time volunteers, but people who are putting in a lot of hours over time. Thousands more donors and supporters. All of that is I think, evidence of a relationship building approach. And lastly, I'll say that our programs and what we would offer at Ryan, all of our learning centers are open to the neighborhood and free to kids in the surrounding area. We have really phenomenal food programs. All of those doubled during COVID, and they've remained really large and open to the neighborhoods. We have great fitness classes. Zumba is the most popular class that we offer, and that draws hundreds of people from our residents and others. And like the new mural that Sabrina mentioned, we've got art projects that we've been able to incorporate into our communities. So we would bring all that experience and commitment to working with the neighbors at Ryan Drive to execute on many of the amazing vision pieces that have already been prioritized. I'm going to take this question. I think that Sabrina will have the last question. I believe that in Austin, we are the largest residential developer in transit-oriented districts. We've built 3 deeply affordable communities. The first kind of set a standard with our M Station apartments by the MLK train stop. More recently, we built the Lakeline Station apartments and the Loretta apartments by the Lakeline train stop. Capitol Studios is downtown and just a quarter mile from the downtown stop. And then we've land banked a site adjacent to the Red Line stop at ACC Highland. Very hopeful we can build affordable housing there soon. So we love building in locations that give families lots of transit options, that have high walk scores. It's not always possible because we're trying to build in all parts of town. But for that transit connectivity, a huge benefit is time and money, and it reduces your carbon footprint if you can have options for commuting to work. So we've tried to build as centrally as we can. We love the Ryan Drive site. It's right by the Crestview stop. We don't have a project by every stop yet, but we've started to fill in the stops along the line, which is, I'm proud of that, and something that motivates us. I think specifically the Ryan site is super walkable, has a 70-something walk score, is convenient to Highland ACC, retail services up and down Lamar. It's just missing right now some of the sidewalk connectivity, the bike lanes, and then ultimately the new whatever Metro designs as a transit plaza or platform with train there. That's our experience and our excitement and vision for transit connectivity at Ryan.
Okay, how are we gonna bring other funds to the deal is the question. So if y'all are looking for a partner that's going to maximize the amount of non-city funding for Ryan Drive, this is an area we feel really confident that there is no one more qualified than Foundation Communities to achieve that vision. We're not shy about that because there's some unique factors that we're facing. I think one is our nonprofit status, so we can access funds that are available only to nonprofits. We also have decades of local funder relationships. So we've been in the community for a very long time, and we've been proving ourselves to our funders for a very long time. And we've got really deep staff capacity, both in the housing, finance, and our fundraising and grant side. As a few examples, we're consistently receiving the highest tax credit pricing from equity investors on tax credit deals due to our extensive experience and also our organizational strength. Anecdotally, we heard from a number of peers at the time we were pricing our Norman Commons, that Tannehill RFP site, that our pricing came in about 5% higher than the average pricing in other developments at the same time. What that pricing means, it's not just something that we get to be proud of, we got more money, but what that means and what's important to us is it's helping make the project even better. It's helping us dig deeper in affordability, bring more amenities for the residents and also for the community. I mentioned that, as a nonprofit, we can access other sources that aren't available to for-profits. A typical Foundation Communities project is using at least a half dozen different sources of funding, and that's including grants and charitable fundraising on every project. That's from foundations, from individuals, from federal sources. In the past 5 years, just to quantify it, in the past 5 years, we've raised $16 million in private fundraising to support the construction of new communities. Also, we're not scared of layering lots of different funding. At the moment, FC's active development pipeline, things currently in pre-development or under construction, is accessing 16 unique different funding sources. So we're not scared of new money, we're not scared of learning new rules, and we're not scared of layering it all together. So I want to be really honest that while any given project, including Ryan, is not going to qualify for all of those sources, we wanted to highlight that and our tenacity in really pursuing and layering multiple sources of funding. In terms of track record to date, we've received 22 grants from the Federal Home Loan Bank Affordable Housing Program. We've received 3 multi-project Capital Magnet Fund awards directly from the federal government, and we've received 15 funding awards from the state of Texas. And that's, again, just for our housing construction. We've got all kinds of other funding we're pulling in for services. Most recently, we're also starting to attract some below market investments from banks and foundations, which is really exciting. Most recently, we received a $10 million 0% loan from the Michael and Susan Dell Foundation. Just a few months ago, we closed on that, and we're immediately deploying that to help us keep pre-development and construction interest carry costs low. And we would be able to deploy that at Ryan Drive. I do want to acknowledge that we're the first to admit that we're not the cheapest developer in town. We're approached sometimes asking us to come build, and how cheaply and quickly can you build here? And we just raise our hand and say that's not us. And that's not because of our lack of experience or our ability to negotiate a good deal. That's because, as Walter was alluding to a few times, it's because we're forever owners. We're going to come to Ryan Drive and be there forever. And so our intention is to invest upfront in quality materials to make sure that in decades to come, everybody's still very proud of this community. Folks are proud and comfortable living in it. Also, sustainable design is really important to us. That's focused on energy efficiency to keep our residents' bills low. That's a big part of housing cost, and also to limit the carbon footprint of our buildings, which I think is important everywhere, and especially I know a focus here at Ryan Drive. One funding source we don't plan to bring to the table is private equity. We're really focused on tax credit equity and grants and other flexible funding sources. And the reason for that is we don't want to be accountable to repay anybody out of project cash, whether cash flow or sale, because we want to keep those rents low. We want to reinvest all the money back in services and back in project upkeep. So for Ryan, we will go after all of the possible sources of funding that we already know of. We will keep looking for other sources of funding we've not heard of. And we'll be leveraging our housing finance and grant writing teams to leverage as much city money, non-city money as possible.
To the panel, we would be excited to work on the Rhine Drive site and bring the vision to life. We've got the capacity, the experience to in transit-oriented development, in fundraising, in community relationships. Those are great questions, and I think we're really would be a great partner, and hope that we can talk some more.